Hello, this is Jim Wilson with AgGateway. In this fifth and final video in the Click series, you'll learn about a few features that I didn't address in earlier videos. First of all, we will use a text editor a little later in this video to paste some content that Click produces. And I want to draw your attention to a free text editor. It's called Visual Studio Code. It's developed by Microsoft. Again, it's free. It's available on Windows and Mac, and it's a fantastic, lightweight text editor. It has no relation to Visual Studio except names, so those of you with Visual Studio experience and are put off by kind of the size of the application, don't worry about it. It's completely separate from Visual Studio. So anyway, you can find it at the URL shown on the screen, and we'll just make a quick transition to the website so you can see that and highlight that, and again, it is free and available for Mac and Linux and Windows. The first thing I want to show you is the XPath generator. And so we're going to go back to our old friend ship notice status. So I drill down on ship notice and then the body, then the properties, and then scroll down to status. And then you right click and choose the Copy XPath to Clipboard option. Now we'll switch to the editor. I'll select it all and delete it. And then I'll paste it in. Now you can see here that it includes the XPath all the way from the root. In other words, from the very beginning of the tree in the tree view. So it goes ship notice, then body, then properties, and then status. Now if we go back to Click and we hoist one of the child elements up to the top, in this case routing instructions, and we drill down on it, and notice we have a choice with options, and we copy that XPath. I just want to point out here that it goes routing instructions, comment, and then we have a choice of a couple options, and then we get to external reference. And so now we're going to copy XPath to clipboard, go back to Visual Studio Code, paste it in, and notice in this case, it just goes, again, from the top of the tree view, what's being shown on the screen, routing instructions, comment, and external reference. And notice that it's smart enough to avoid including the choice in the options. The next thing I want to demonstrate to you is creating a sample XML document. And just like with creating Excel documentation, it produces it in the background and gives you a little message that tells you that, and then puts the file on the desktop. So in this case, it's creating the file in the background, and we'll switch to our desktop, and you can see that it's present on the desktop. And then we'll just double click on it, open it up in the Visual Studio Code, and you can see the XML here. So a couple of things to point out here. One thing is that the sample values, some are a little more realistic than others. So you can see, for example, email address is joecool@hotmail.com, and in other cases it says just the word some value in brackets. And also notice that in some cases where there's a choice, both of the choices are there. So a couple of key points here. First of all, the XML file that Click produces is not valid against the XML schema. It's not intended to be. Notably, it is missing the XML namespace references. Also, with all of the choice options in there, that would fail validation as well. But they're put in there for the purposes of developers to see what can be produced, and they can cut and paste as they see fit to suit their development purposes. The next thing I want to show you is creating an XML schema subset. Now, just like with creating Excel documentation and creating the sample instance document, it produces it in the background and puts it on the desktop. So let's go to our desktop and see what we have. We'll open it with Visual Studio Code. And you can see the schema there. So if all of this looks Greek to you, that's the purpose of Click. It's to hide all of the angle brackets and element declarations and type definitions and just present this schema in a nice tree view sort of way. So the final thing I want to show you is how to provide feedback. Feedback is key. We want to improve the standard and we want to improve the tools. So in this case, I'm going to select USA Feed as the context and then go back down and right-click on Ship Notice Status and then choose Email Question or Comment. We get a message that indicates that email text has been copied to the clipboard. So we'll flip back over to Visual Studio Code, paste that content in, and you can see that it has all the bits that you would expect to provide useful feedback. And of course, you as the comment or question submitter, you just paste the content into an email and then add your comment or questions and send it off. Some may wonder why we don't just open the email application. Well, the feedback we received is that it wasn't good to have one application try to control Outlook or whatever the mail client is. So in this case, we just copy it to the clipboard, and all you need to do is copy and paste the email address and the subject and then the content into the body of the email and send it off. Okay, and that concludes the 5-part video series on Click. I hope this has been informative, and I hope you find Click to be a very useful tool. We thank you.